Jen Kiggans is one of the two Republican candidates vying for the GOP nomination for Virginia's 7th Senate District. There are currently 3 Democrat candidates seeking their party's nomination. Jen Kiggans, welcome. Jen, are you with us?
Yes, good morning. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great. Once again, I had my headphones turned off over there, but hey, I'm with you now. Hey, thanks for calling in. And I want to point out first and foremost that you're a former Navy pilot. You spent 10 years flying H-46 and H-3 helicopters, had 2
That's
deployments
right.
to the Persian Gulf, and I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. You're welcome, Mike.
Well, I am a fixed winger myself. I prefer aircraft that glide back to the Earth's surface, but to each their own.
I'm married to one of those guys. My husband's an F-18 guy, so we're all friends.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. Well, after the Navy, you attended ODU's nursing school and in Vanderbilt University's nurse practitioner program, and you now understand a board-certified nurse practitioner.
That's right. I'm an adult geriatric nurse practititioner. I mostly focus on primary care and mental health. I work over at EVMS, so I do geriatrics, one of their nursing homes. I also work in their memory clinic, which sees Alzheimer's disease and dementia patients.
Wow, I'm sure it's tough. Having had dealt with some advanced dementia in my family, I know you've had a tough job working both with the patients and with the families, but. Bless you for
Very
that.
Very rewarding.
I'm sure it is. And I'll mention your most important role. I understand you're a wife and a mother of how many children?
So I have 4 kids. I'm a Navy spouse also, then due to my husband, and then my children. I have 4 children. My oldest is set to go to the Naval Academy here in about 3 weeks, so we're very excited for him. And then I've got 3 teenagers and one that's the preteen. So they keep me busy too.
Well, it sounds like you got your hands full and a family of service. So thanks there. Well, look, let's jump into a couple of things. Looking at some of the topics that I know are prevalent in Virginia and the country in general. One of the things we've dealt with here, and I'm kind of going here directly because of your as a practitioner in the healthcare industry. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you'll have some insight here. But healthcare, particularly Medicaid expansion, it's been, of course, a major topic in Richmond, around the country. As a business owner, I've seen firsthand how expensive insurance premiums have become. It's a point that, frankly, many people just can't afford to buy insurance. And
right.
Most Republicans, they want a free market solution. It seems that most Democrats want to move to a government plan. As a healthcare practitioner, I expect you've got an opinion on this.
Absolutely. So I just want to start out by saying that single-payer healthcare is never the answer. I've been attacked by my opponent recently. Carolyn Williams has put out a lot of lies and misinformation saying that is something that I support. I absolutely do not support single-payer healthcare. That would be horrendous for my patients, increase patient wait times. It would worsen the physician shortage. Pre-existing conditions wouldn't be covered as well. Just would stifle some innovation technology that we try so hard to pursue in the medical field. So absolutely 100% straight from the horse's mouth, not for single-payer health care. As far as Medicaid expansion goes, so that was passed, that is here. The important thing about Medicaid expansion, and of course I want my patients to be covered and I want healthcare to be available and accessible, but it's very important that we implement Medicaid expansion fiscally and conservatively. I 100% support a work requirement for that. We are in the process of awaiting federal approval for a waiver that would approve that work requirement. And also I'm supportive of copays or premiums for patients to help chip in. I think nothing should be given to people for free. I think that really stifles the work ethic. I'm a big supporter of work ethic. My father taught me that from a young age. I work 2 jobs. My husband works 2 jobs. I mean, we believe that nothing should be given for free. The important thing is having healthcare professionals in place that can help implement this Medicaid expansion just the right way. We need people who understand the patient populations and the challenges. The low-income population that is now covered because Medicaid expansion is here. We need to provide them with primary care. The amount of money that we're spending the emergency rooms and urgent cares, that's costly. So we can't have that. Again, Medicaid expansion is here, so we just need to find the right way to implement that.
Well, I'll admit that I was the opponent of the expansion, and for the most part. And it's not that I don't want people to have health care. Matter of fact, I work very closely with the Lackey Free Clinic, and the folks that don't have health care, and they rely on, fortunately, what is a very, very high quality clinic in York County. But my challenge with this is, look, you folks aren't really trying to find a solution. You're like saying, oh, we can't think of anything, so we're just going to give government health care. And that's been a frustration for me. There have been some proposals introduced, particularly out of the Virginia Senate, that would have done things to help chip away at some of the high cost features of health care, to give people an opportunity and businesses an opportunity to buy affordable health care. They've been vetoed again and again now by the governor. Have you got ideas, being that you work in the industry, of something that you could or that you would get behind that might encourage folks to look at options other than just going on a government-run program?
Yeah, I would like to see more competition among insurance agencies. I mean, it should be a free market out there. We need people to be able to choose the insurance that's best for them and that personally fits them. Again, I can't say enough that the single payer, especially the stuff that's being put out my opponent. I mean, that is absolutely not the answer. I worked at the VA a few years ago and saw single payer healthcare and the challenges there, and that is absolutely not going to work for us at all. We need to sit down with the insurance companies to mitigate the rising costs of healthcare and just promote some competition among them. I'd like to see some better coverage with the insurance companies for pain modalities. You know, we talk about the opioid crisis and how that's a big concern of ours here. But we need better coverage from them for alternatives such as physical therapy, chiropractors, homeopathic medications. I've seen a lot of culture shift in the healthcare industry with responsible prescribing, but we need to get other health professionals on board, oral surgeons, dentists, emergency rooms, and do a good job at just allowing us as healthcare providers some alternatives to be able to prescribe so that people aren't self-medicating. Nobody wants to be in pain, not emotional pain or physical pain. So yes, just working with the insurance companies. That's actually one of the first legislation I'd like to see passed is having better insurance coverage for alternative pain modalities.
Well, that's very good. Well, something that's much needed, and that's an epidemic that is. It's destroying families and communities across this country, and it's amazing how many parts of Virginia where this is just really a real challenge. I'll sidestep just a bit and tell you, when I served in the House, one of the first things that was really awakening to me is I worked with delegates on both parties that were there to represent their communities, of course, and finding out the challenges. And you know, I'll pick Southwest Virginia, but it's certainly not limited there. But just how bad the opioid crisis, prescription drug abuse that we see, that where folks they'll have to interview and sometimes hundreds of people to find just a few that will fill a job. It's really something that needs to be addressed. So I'd like to see that as well. Staying with healthcare, I guess we'll call it that. That's something that certainly is going to come up in campaign flyers between now and November. And there's been a lot of controversy that stemming from the governor's comments about the tram bill. I'm sure you're familiar with that. The governor's comments essentially on a radio show, it seemed as though he was trying to legitimize infanticide. Now, I understand as a physician that one might talk about things a little differently than the general public is used to hearing. But frankly, his comments, they appeared heartless and abhorrent to most people, and certainly there was an uproar. As a practitioner, tell us what you think about this bill, perhaps the governor's comments, and just give us your thoughts there.
Yeah, abhorrent was a good word. I was actually that's probably the biggest motivator that got me in this race. I remember listening to that Kathy Tran video not once but twice, just standing in my kitchen, and I could not believe that she had said that. You know, she's a mother also, and then a couple of days later, Ralph Northam went on talk radio and defended her publicly that infanticide was okay, and it was okay to kill these babies on the delivery table. That is 100% absolutely not okay. I'm a lifelong Catholic, very pro-life. we are fighting an extreme battle here in Virginia. As a healthcare provider, I look at, prevention, and it's all about preventative care. That's really the way to lower healthcare costs, but also just to prevent the problem. So I'm a proponent of birth control. I think we really need to look into better coverage and ways we can get birth control out there to prevent maybe unwanted pregnancies. But then also on the flip side, I see patients who suffer from PTSD or who have had abortions, and then it caused depression, anxiety. I'd like to also, as a mental health advocate, I think we are forgetting the mental health piece that comes along with for these women who have had to make these difficult decisions. I'd like to see some better coverage and just offering of mental health care, not just for the immediate crisis, but even lifelong. I see these women suffering. So, but infanticide is never, ever the answer, and the sanctity of life is under attack here in Virginia. So we need conservative, Republican, just pro-life people up there in the General Assembly to make sure we protect that.
Well, this is one of the advantages of having a citizen legislature, someone like you who has experience in this area, maybe can help bridge some gaps and bring some solutions out there if you're successful in Tuesday's primary and then ultimately in the November election. But moving on from Virginia Beach is obviously an area that you'd represent if you're ultimately elected. Undoubtedly, a very tragic day there last week. 12 from everything I could read, wonderful citizens, many longtime employees, their co-workers, faced a nightmare. 12 were killed, 4 more seriously injured. It is heartbreaking. There's no way not to have emotion. We talked about this earlier in the show, and the frustrating thing for me is at a time of mourning, a time when we don't know all of the facts, the governor's response has been to, well, let's have a special session and take care of gun control issues, when we don't know that anything that has been proposed or maybe proposed would have anything to do that could have prevented this, and certainly we don't even know the motive behind this. If you'd like to share your thoughts about the tragedy itself and then the governor's response in a special session regarding the Second Amendment, now's your chance.
Yeah, it truly was a tragedy here in Virginia Beach that affected so many of us, and I think we're all still in shock and recovering, and my sincere condolences to the family members and the first responders and all who were affected by that awful day. But hopefully we can work together and kind of learn and grow from that. As far as the governor calling that special session, I do not like when politicians use tragedy to promote their own political agendas, which I think is one of the things that's happening here. As far as gun control goes, I am a conservative Republican, lifelong Republican, so I am a defender of the Second Amendment given to us by the Constitution. We need to protect that right. However, I believe that, guns don't kill people. People kill people. Again, as a healthcare provider and a mental health advocate, we need just better screening, better treatment for these people. That these people are obviously not stable mental health wise. You and I we can have 1,000 guns, but we are not going to go into our office place and shoot our coworkers and ourselves. But it just takes one mentally unstable person, one gun, to do a lot of damage. There's not a lot of avenues as a healthcare provider. I can call the DMV and have your driver's license taken away when I feel like you have dementia or memory impairment. But there's really no avenues for me as a healthcare screener, and I'm one of the ones as a primary care provider, but also urgent cares, emergency rooms. We see the majority of population, but there's really not a lot of screening or avenues that we can pursue if we identify one. I think that we're one of the first lines of defense as the healthcare provider. Another thing, in the Navy, I try to apply a lot of things I learned being in the Navy to the civilian sector. We really promoted being assertive, and if you were enlisted, newly enlisted guy, we listened to you as an officer and as a pilot. If there was something wrong, be assertive, tell someone about it. We kind of police ourselves, and I feel like we need to take kind of a multidisciplinary approach to the solution for gun violence. Let's get the parents involved, the churches involved, the teachers involved. law enforcement involved. But let's sit down as a group and encourage people to be assertive and we need to really be policing ourselves, looking out for each other, and then also, again, just as a healthcare provider, really doing a complete and thorough job with that mental health screening, because I believe that it's those people that are kind of the root cause of some of these mass shootings and problems.
Well, we'll see what comes out of this special session. We had Senator Ryan McDougal on earlier and talking about how the process is going to work, but it'd be interesting to see what comes out of that. But one thing that really frustrates me with politicians is that will take, and as you mentioned, take a tragedy like this and politicize it and try to get their 2 moments of fame just so they can say they did something. And I really believe it's not helpful when you say you've done something that really isn't going to impact or would have prevented this, and it takes away the onus from the individual or the legislator at that point to actually do something that would make a difference. So that's a frustration. Well, look, let folks know, how will they know more about you? And I know you've got a debate coming up this weekend.
We do.
Let folks know about that and how to contact you or how to find out more about you.
We do. So there's a debate at the Old Beach Tavern on Virginia Beach Boulevard. That's going to be Saturday morning at 8:30, just for about an hour between myself and my opponent. And then I've got a website out there, Gen4Senate, JENFOR, Senate.com. And then we've got a real active Facebook page and Instagram. We encourage people to look us up. There's a great video that kind of tells my story of me. You know, I'm not a politician. This is my first time running for politics, but I'm a fresh new face, just an energized and concerned citizen who was frustrated, wanted to do more than just yell at my TV from my couch. That was getting frustrating. So I'm up here fighting the good fight, staying positive, staying in our lane, and enduring these typical attacks that I thought we were a little bit better than that here in Virginia, but I've been attacked by my opponent for pretty negative campaigns. So we're staying in our lane, focusing on a lot of positives, and I would encourage people to check out, our website, Facebook page, and just learn more about me and why I'm the most electable candidate, bring in healthcare experience and naval officer experience to the ballot. We've got it. This is such a big election, coming up in November. We've got to keep that seat conservative Republican. We need the best candidate to win this primary in June so that they can go against one of those Democrats in November.
Well, you were right. We need to hold that seat. Jen Kiggans, I appreciate you calling in and spending time with us this morning.
Yeah.
And
thank you for having me.
Absolutely.